Okay, so have you ever had that feeling like you can sense these massive shifts happening around the world,
Hmm.
like things that feel super significant, even if they're not exactly making front page news?
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're getting into today,
Okay.
because you've brought us a pretty unique perspective on what's going on globally right now, something that definitely pushes us to think outside the box, outside the usual headlines.
Definitely. For today's deep dive, we're going to be looking at this YouTube video. The title's in Portuguese, so bear with me. It's "El Conselho Arcturiano dos Síparos. Chapéus brancos estão fazendo movimentos usados."
Wow.
It's from a channel called KRY on Serviço Magnetico, and it claims to be the words of Tia of Arcturus. So right away, we know we're dealing with concepts that are pretty far out there.
Yeah, definitely not your average news source. Okay,
Okay.
so let's break down the core concept here. This source talks about a great unveiling, this idea that a long-standing deep state control matrix is collapsing.
Right.
But this isn't framed as your typical political power struggle, right?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. The perspective here is that there are these hidden technologies, especially those dealing with climate modification, technologies that have allegedly been used covertly to influence the planet. And these technologies are now being recovered by, quote, white hats, these benevolent forces.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting for me. It's not just about the technology itself. It's the idea that the real driving force behind this shift isn't like some physical battle or conflict. It's a fundamental change in global consciousness. This source claims that the collective consciousness of humanity, which they say is being fueled by awakened souls and star seeds, is accelerating at an unbelievable pace, nearly 10 times faster than before.
Yeah, and what's fascinating to me is the assertion that this internal transformation, this awakening of individuals and their commitment to, love, truth, all of that, is the primary force that's dismantling these old control systems from within. It's this growing wave of consciousness that's empowering people and causing those outdated structures to basically dissolve naturally.
So, if I'm understanding correctly, the goal of our deep dive today is to unpack how this transformation is supposed to unfold, from a personal awakening all the way to a global shift.
Right.
And at the core of this are things like individuals regaining their power, this concept of fluid timelines, and that we're essentially co-creating a new reality for the planet.
Exactly. The source makes it clear this isn't a revolution that's being imposed from the top down. This is an evolution that starts within each individual.
I love that. Okay, so let's start with this idea of the control matrix collapsing.
Yeah.
When they talk about a deep state, what kind of picture are they painting? And what hidden technologies are we talking about being recovered?
So the way it's described, this deep state control matrix is like this long established, very secretive network of entities that have supposedly suppressed advanced technologies and kept vital knowledge hidden from the public. And the reason, they allege, is to maintain control over the global population. It's almost like this unseen hand manipulating things behind the scenes to keep certain advancements under wraps.
Wow. And these white hats are now stepping in to reclaim these things. What specific technologies are mentioned?
Well, they specifically point to climate modification technology as a key example. They claim that this technology, which they say has been misused to mess with weather patterns and create instability, is now being recovered by these benevolent groups.
So hidden technologies coming into light under positive control. That's a big claim.
Yeah.
But like you said, the source suggests the real power lies somewhere else, not just with these tools.
Right. While the recovery of technology is definitely part of the narrative, they really underscore that the most powerful catalyst in all of this isn't some technological advancement or external event. It's the collective consciousness of those who have awakened, these, quote, awakened souls and star seeds here on Earth.
And this consciousness is growing exponentially, like at an alarming rate.
That's the claim. They're saying this collective consciousness is accelerating nearly 10 times faster than it ever has. Like with each passing week, more people are waking up, tapping into a greater awareness and their own inner strength. And that's what's leading to this rapid increase in both understanding and this higher frequency energy.
So the real shift isn't happening on the political stage, but within each person.
Yeah, that's their perspective. They're basically saying that this internal transformation, individuals consciously choosing love, truth, and all that comes with it, is what's causing these old, rigid structures of control to crumble from the inside out. It's a fundamental change in human awareness.
That's pretty powerful. So how does this personal awakening actually lead to global change, according to this source? How does that connection work?
Okay, so they explain it like this. The downfall of this supposed control matrix begins with each person's individual journey of awakening. It's about making a conscious choice to align with your deepest self, with your soul, and with your highest aspirations. And they call this act of turning inward reclaiming your energetic sovereignty.
Energetic sovereignty. Can you break that down a little more? What does that actually mean in this context?
Think of it as taking back your inherent power to influence your own reality. It's about moving away from that feeling of being a helpless bystander and realizing you actually have the ability to shape your own experience. And the source suggests that as more and more individuals do this, as they reclaim their power, it creates a collective shift in the overall timeline of humanity. It's like when a
Yes.
critical mass of people changes their mindset, it can actually shift societal norms and possibilities.
Right, so like a ripple effect.
Exactly.
Okay, so then what about this idea of fluid timelines? How does that fit into all of this?
So the concept of fluid timelines basically proposes that the future isn't set in stone. It's not just one predetermined path. Instead, there are many potential realities, all existing at the same time. And the transcript emphasizes that we, as individuals, are drawn to the timeline that resonates with our own overall vibrational frequency. So our dominant state of being basically dictates which reality we experience. It's like tuning a radio. Your internal frequency locks on to a specific station, or in this case, a specific timeline, a specific reality.
So our internal state is like a magnet that attracts a certain kind of reality to us.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And the source really highlights the importance of cultivating a high vibration, one that's characterized by love, clarity, inner peace. They claim that when you're operating from that state, you naturally align with timelines where challenges are more easily overcome, and those old controlling systems dissolve more smoothly.
Okay, so I imagine the opposite is also true then. If you're vibrating at a lower frequency, things are probably a bit more chaotic.
Exactly. They suggest that if you're consumed by fear, anger, that sort of stuff, you're more likely to experience those more turbulent, difficult versions of events. It's like we're constantly shifting between these potential realities based on our moment-to-moment emotional and mental state.
Which brings us back to this idea of being a sovereign being and making conscious responses. How does that tie into everything?
Okay, so the way the source describes it, being a sovereign being means recognizing that you're not just at the mercy of whatever's happening around you. You actually have this inherent ability to manage your reactions and choose deliberate responses that are in alignment with your inner wisdom.
So it's about having a choice in how we react to things instead of just reacting automatically based on like our initial gut reaction.
Exactly. They make a distinction between reacting, which often comes from those deep-seated patterns and emotions like fear or outrage, and responding. Responding is coming from a place of inner awareness and understanding. It might involve taking a pause, connecting with that deeper part of yourself before speaking or acting.
It's almost like that space between stimulus and response, right?
Right.
You have the power to choose.
Yeah, exactly.
And by consciously choosing how we respond, we reclaim our power.
That's the idea. When you respond from a centered place, you're not giving your power away. You're less likely to get swept up in whatever drama's happening around you. And that, according to the source, is how you reclaim your freedom from that control matrix on a personal level. It's also about setting healthy boundaries for your awareness. You consciously decide where to focus your attention and what energy you allow into your personal space. It's like choosing what information you let in, what influences you allow to affect your mental and emotional state.
It's like curating your own mental and emotional diet.
Exactly. And this also extends to consciously choosing not to buy into fear-based narratives, even when, like, really surprising or unsettling information comes to light during this revelation process they talk about. The ability to just observe these revelations without losing your center, without panicking is really important. And by staying grounded and not being thrown off by change, you actually contribute to a more stable collective energy.
Okay, so there's also this thing called integration of the light body that the transcript mentions. What is that exactly?
So the integration of the light body, which they sometimes call the chorus of light, is described as this natural evolutionary process where your physical and energetic bodies are basically able to hold more of this higher dimensional energy, what they often refer to as light. It's like a step up in our spiritual evolution.
Are there any signs that someone might be going through this? Like, how would you even know?
They suggest a few indicators. You might experience increased sensitivity to energy, a stronger intuition, even waves of emotions that come up to be released. They see these as signs that your higher dimensional self, your light body, is becoming more integrated with your physical being.
It sounds intense.
Yeah.
Is there anything we should be doing to support this integration? Like any advice?
Self-care is huge during this time. They emphasize rest, hydration, nutritious food, spending time in nature. All of that is supposed to help your body through these shifts. And interestingly, they say that each person who integrates more light actually contributes to raising the overall vibration of the planet, making it easier for others to do the same. Like they become this beacon of higher frequency.
So we're all connected in that way.
Right.
Okay, there's this other concept of releasing savior program that sounds pretty important. What does that actually involve?
So savior programming, according to the transcript, is this tendency we have to look outside of ourselves for someone or something to come and save us, solve all our problems. Things like governments, religious figures, even extraterrestrials. And they say that in this new energy that's emerging, it's essential to let go of that reliance on external saviors.
Why is that so important? What's the problem with looking to others for solutions?
The message is that we're not meant to be passively rescued. We're here to awaken our own divine power and be active participants in creating this new reality. While help and guidance from others is acknowledged, the real emphasis is on taking responsibility for our own power, our own agency. By releasing this expectation of being saved, we come to realize that we're powerful creator beings ourselves. We're connected to the source, and that's incredibly empowering.
So it's about going from being a passive recipient to being an active co-creator.
Exactly. And when enough people let go of this savior mentality, the collective can actually move away from those hierarchical structures, where some have power over others, and into a more unified state where power resides within each person. This fundamental shift in mindset is seen as crucial for genuine transformation.
Okay, I get that. We keep hearing about this accelerated awakening. The source mentioned it's happening nearly 10 times faster now. Is that actually having a tangible effect, like a real-world impact, according to this perspective?
Oh, yeah, they definitely emphasize the impact. They say these star seeds and light carriers are really accelerating the collective awakening. And because of that, more people are waking up each week. That raises the overall human frequency, and that changes things.
So that's what's leading to these non-linear leaps they talk about in the revealing of truth.
Exactly. Because of this rapidly rising collective vibration, the potential timelines that are available to us are changing faster. The disclosure of hidden information, of truth, it's no longer happening in a slow, gradual way. Instead, they say we can expect more sudden breakthroughs where huge pieces of suppressed information could come to light seemingly out of nowhere.
Wow, so things could change really fast.
Right. Their advice is to stay open to the unexpected and know that big advancements and revelations can happen much faster than we might think, especially when the energy is there to support them.
So considering all of this, what's the current status of this collapse of the old control matrix? Is it happening?
They say it's already well underway, driven by these rising frequencies in our collective consciousness. However, because of the whole fluid timelines thing, there isn't one predictable way this will all play out. There are multiple potential scenarios for how the old systems will fall and the new ones will emerge.
So some timelines are smoother, others are rougher.
Right. Some timelines might involve a more gradual, harmonious transition, while others could involve more resistance, more chaos on the surface. And they emphasize that our collective vibration, the choices we make both individually and as a whole, will determine which scenario we experience.
So even our own personal choices can have an impact on the big picture.
That's the message. Choosing love over fear, compassion over judgment, even in our daily lives, that all adds up. It contributes to shifting the probability towards a more peaceful timeline. The analogy they use is that when millions of individuals consciously make this choice, it creates this energetic momentum that the old structures of control simply can't withstand.
So let's talk more about this control matrix. What is it at its core? How do they describe its nature?
They say the control matrix is basically an energetic network built upon fear, deception, and division. These lower vibrational energies are what fuel it, what give it power.
And how does it ultimately break down? How do we dismantle it?
By disconnecting from it. When enough people consciously disconnect from these lower vibrational frequencies, from fear, from deception, and choose unity, truth, then the matrix loses its energy source. It collapses under its own weight. And they really drive home the point that this collapse isn't brought about by some external force or violence. It's about a widespread awakening of hearts and minds within the collective. Our internal state can actually dismantle these large-scale systems.
Well, it's a powerful idea. Now, the source also anticipates many hidden truths emerging. What kind of revelations are they talking about?
Well, they say many things that have been concealed from public awareness will come to light, including information about the misuse of technologies and programs that have been used to manipulate populations. Specifically, they mention things like climate modification technology being secretly used to influence events and cause distress. They talk about the extent of surveillance and energy suppression that's been happening. Big stuff.
Yeah, that would definitely be unsettling for a lot of people. How do they suggest we deal with that kind of information when it comes out?
They acknowledge that these revelations will probably cause shock and anger for many. And this is where the role of those who have already awakened becomes so important. They need to hold a space of stability, of compassion, as others process these potentially disturbing truths. Instead of getting caught up in blame and outrage, the advice is to help others see these revelations as a necessary part of healing, as a step towards positive change. Truth has to come to light for real transformation to happen.
And this acceleration we've talked about also applies to these revelations, right? Like things could come out much faster now.
Absolutely. Just like the awakening itself is accelerating, so is the unveiling of these hidden truths. Events that might have taken decades to unfold in a less energetically charged environment could happen much more rapidly now because of the collective inner work that's been happening.
It's a lot to take in.
Mm.
But this source isn't all doom and gloom, is it? They offer a message of support too, right? Like we're not alone in all of this.
That's a really important part of their message. They assure us that humanity has many allies both here on Earth and beyond. They mention galactic councils and federations of light that are watching over Earth with care and love as we go through this process of ascension.
Like a cosmic support system.
Yeah, kind of. The Council of Five, which is the group TEA claims to be a part of, is just one of many star families. They mention beings from the Pleiades, Sirius, Andromeda, and other star systems who are supporting us through energetic transmissions meant to help us wake up and inspire us.
Wow, that's pretty wild. So they're basically sending us good vibes from space.
You could say that. And they also say these allies are gently guiding benevolent leaders here on Earth, those who are working for positive change, but they always respect our free will. So they're not going to directly intervene in a way that would take away our choice. They emphasize that Earth's liberation is important on a galactic scale and that our cosmic family has so much love and admiration for us as we go through this transformation.
So we're not alone in this fight. That's good
Right.
to know.
Right. And they even say that more help can be given if we consciously ask for it, which highlights the collaborative nature of all of this.
That's awesome. So all of this seems to be pointing toward a huge turning point for humanity. What kind of future, this new planetary transformation they keep talking about, do they actually envision?
They say this transformation is about so much more than just swapping out one set of authorities for another. It's about creating a whole new way of being on Earth. Their vision is a new Earth where unity, transparency, and compassion are the foundation of society. Think of it as a society built on deeper connection, on empathy.
I like that. What about those hidden technologies we talked about? What happens to those in this new world?
Well, they envision a future where those technologies that were once used for control are repurposed to benefit everyone. They talk about things like free energy devices that can provide clean, accessible energy for all, advanced healing technologies to address illness and promote well-being, and climate stabilization technology to restore balance to the planet. The key difference is that these technologies would be used from a place of awakened consciousness, a place of love, not greed or control.
So technology used for good, basically.
Exactly. And as these white hats and benevolent leaders bring these resources to light, the responsibility will fall on us, the collective, to use them wisely for the benefit of all.
This all sounds amazing, but co-creating a so-called 5D reality, that takes a lot of cooperation. How do they see that practically happening?
Well, they say that the breakdown of these old institutions actually creates the space for new structures to emerge that are built on a higher level of awareness. And this is where co-creation comes in. Instead of relying on a small group of people to design the world, everyone participates in building a society that honors the inherent worth of each person.
So everyone has a role to play in shaping this new reality.
Exactly. Everyone has unique gifts, insights, creative sparks to offer. And as more individuals awaken to their purpose, they'll naturally come together, form communities, and start initiatives that reflect this new consciousness. They talk about exploring new models of governance based on equality and cooperation, making sure everyone's basic needs are met. The specifics will probably unfold organically, but the main idea is that everyone is a participant in creating this new reality, and everyone's contribution matters.
It's a shift from power over to power with.
Exactly.
So this is all great, but how do we start living by these principles of the new earth right now in our everyday lives?
That's a great question. The source brings the focus back to the individual. They remind us that our inner state directly affects our outer experience. So if we want a more peaceful world, we need to cultivate inner peace within ourselves. If we want truth and integrity in leadership, we need to practice honesty and self-reflection in our own lives. By embodying these principles of the new earth in our personal journey, we contribute to raising the overall vibration of the collective. We help to ground these higher dimensional energies in the physical world.
Be the change you want to see.
Exactly. It's an ongoing practice, this alignment and realignment with these higher principles. And they acknowledge that old emotions, old fears might resurface. That's part of releasing those ancestral patterns. Self-compassion, self-care, those are crucial during those times. In fact, they say self-love is a revolutionary act in a world that's so driven by fear. By loving and caring for yourself, you're counteracting those old control mechanisms that thrive on self-doubt and feelings of unworthiness. You're demonstrating that the light has won within you, and as that light shines brighter in more and more people, it becomes more and more visible in the world.
Okay, so it sounds like the source is putting a lot of emphasis on those who are actually resonating with this message right now, like they have a special role to play.
Definitely. They emphasize the importance of each individual in this whole process. They say those who are drawn to this information are like way showers, anchors of this new frequency. They chose to awaken early on a soul level so they could help guide others. Their dedication, their courage in facing their own shadows and holding on to that vision of a better world is really important.
It's almost like they volunteered for this.
Yeah. And they want those people to know that their efforts are seen, that they matter, even if they don't always feel that recognition. They acknowledge the progress that's been made. And they reassure us that this control matrix is really collapsing, even if things seem chaotic on the surface. Those are just the last gasps of those old energies that can't hold on any longer in this higher vibration. A new era is coming, and its light is getting stronger every day, thanks to those who are helping to usher it in.
So as we wrap up our deep dive here, what's the most important takeaway for our listeners?
Well, they encourage us to keep holding that vision of a liberated earth in our hearts. Visualize a world where everyone is free, where truth is revealed, where love guides everything. Holding that vision actually helps to create the blueprint for that reality. And it's about trusting the process even when there are bumps in the road. Stay connected to your inner wisdom and navigate with grace.
And the importance of community is a big part of that, isn't it?
Definitely. They highlight the power of coming together with others who resonate with this vision. It amplifies the light and helps to ease fear as the old structures crumble, whether it's through meditation, creative expression, or just honest conversation. Connecting with like-minded people creates a powerful field of positive energy that supports the transformation of the collective. Every effort to spread light, no matter how small, makes a difference.
So we need to support each other.
Absolutely.
The message is clear. Embrace your role in this and don't doubt your ability to make a difference.
Exactly. They urge us to let go of any doubts about our power to create change. We're divine sovereign beings here to help birth a new world. It's a huge honor and a responsibility that we can carry with strength and grace. And it's important to acknowledge our own growth, to celebrate the victories, even the small ones, because they all contribute to the bigger picture.
And they're reminding us that we have help, that we have support, that we're not alone.
Exactly. They reassure us that we're walking this path with countless loving beings throughout the galaxy. Our galactic allies hold this unwavering vision of our success and are certain of the outcome. The question isn't if, but when and how we collectively create this new reality. And it all comes down to our moment-to-moment choices. Choose love.
Oh, so powerful. Thank you for bringing us this perspective today. It's a lot to consider. To sum it all up, it sounds like our deep dive into the words of TAA of Arcturus has given us this view of a great unveiling that's already happening, a collapse of a deep state control matrix that's being driven not by external conflict, but by the awakening of our collective consciousness. And this awakening is being supported by these recovered technologies and guided by our galactic allies. It all hinges on each of us reclaiming our power, holding a positive vibration, and actively co-creating this new Earth based on unity, transparency, and compassion. And as someone listening to this right now, your role is so important. You are a beacon of light, a way shower. You're making a difference.
And this collapse isn't an ending, it's a beginning. A brand new chapter for humanity, one that's full of peace, freedom, unity, and joy. And it's all within our reach. Keep seeking your inner guidance, keep lifting each other up, and keep trusting in the vision you hold within your soul.
You are doing it, and you are never alone. We're all here with you, and so are your galactic friends, cheering you on every step of the way.
If you are hearing this, beloved, you needed to. I leave you now. I am TA of Arcturus.